What's up, War Rapport family? It's your guy, Ike Jones, another midweek report, and we are talking about trust. How much trust does this coaching staff place in the hands of Payton Thorne this season as far as the offense is concerned? That and so much more on the newest edition of the Midweek Report. Eagle to everybody out there in War Rapport land. Appreciate you guys jumping in on another Wednesday midweek report. Brought to you by the folks at the Rage Room, 2 locations to service all of your anger and anxiety. The Opelika Rage Room, 1510 2nd Avenue in Opelika. That's downtown Opelika for those that don't know. And the Birmingham Rage Room at 2616 7th Avenue South. You can go over there and break stuff, and no one will be mad at you for doing it. That's their whole purpose of having you guys in there. We appreciate those of you who are in here joining us live. Go ahead and share the content with somebody out there that they can join in on the conversation. I want to see hundreds of Auburn and non-Auburn fans. Like, we've been getting some non-Auburn fans in here. We need to see hundreds and hundreds of people in here talking about this conversation today. If you haven't already, you can go ahead and thumbs up the video. It's okay to go ahead and like it right now. You can thumbs down the video, I guess, right now if you really want to, but I mean, that's just a waste of a click. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Mike G, go ahead and tell the people other ways they can support what we got going on.
Anxious to get to the conversation tonight, so I'm gonna speed through this. Like, you guys know the deal. Become a member. I don't know why this thing's not clicking. Can you click for me?
Is it showing up on my end? Yeah,
it's not showing up for me. So I trust crazy. You guys are looking at it.
Yeah.
But become a member, $6.99 a month. I'll get you there. $5.99 actually to become a patron. We appreciate you guys for growing our Green Name gang. Look, the season's coming and it's going to be awesome. So you want to be a part of that, especially for the game day experience. We limit a lot of that to members only. Also, you can give the gift of the War Report. Hope you're seeing it. You can give the gift of the War Report by
just in the Auburn area. Make sure you tap in with the folks at Vintage over at 2298 East University Drive. And they got the butcher shop over there. So you don't have to just go for dinner. You can go and prepare your own. We had a big conversation the other day, Mike G, when we were in office hours. The folks in the War Report community can cook, bro. Like they be cooking. Like, they were telling me all the stuff that they were making for meals, and I was like, "Yo, that's wild." Like, I don't even know how y'all came up with the idea to make that, but I have basically not been living my life correctly. But definitely enjoyed that conversation. If you're not a member, you don't get to get in on the office hours. I made a mistake the other day. Yesterday, excuse me, when I started the office hours, I hadn't made it members only, and then somebody popped into the chat that wasn't a member, and I was like, oh crap.
Oh no, here we go.
I had to boot them, and I felt bad because it was my fault.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is. Come where you're not invited and you might get booted.
It's my fault though. I left the invitation laying on the table and he saw it. He's like, oh, this is interesting, let me pull up. And I was like, oh, sorry, no, this wasn't meant for you, my bad. But yeah, anyway, enough of that. Let's get into the conversation. Tonight, we are talking about Payton Thorne. And well, let me begin before we get into that conversation about Payton Thorne and talk about another thing involving Payton Thorne that was recently released today that I didn't even know was a thing. I literally had no idea there was a Golden Arm Award, and Payton Thorne made the watch list for the Golden Arm. Now, I do have to ask myself this question. How many quarterbacks made this list if Payton Thorne is on the list? No disrespect, Payton Thorne. No disrespect. But if it's a list for people who they're expecting to be the best quarterbacks in college football, I'm sorry, I don't know if Payton Thorne makes that list for me off the top of my head.
Is that how good the receivers are? They think the receivers are? They were like, man, just go ahead and throw him on the list.
It's like, man, listen, bro, he can't go wrong with these.
He can't go wrong with these receivers, yeah.
But Payton Thorne made the watch list for the Golden Arm Award. Last year's recipient of that was Jaden Daniels, of course, Heisman Trophy winner Jaden Daniels. So, kudos to Payton Thorne for getting that recognition at the beginning of the season. Now he just has to live up to it and make the postseason. I guess they're gonna narrow it down to like semifinalists, like they do with every. Did you know Did you know this was a thing? The Golden Arm Award.
Yes and no.
Oh,
yeah, just the name didn't ring a bell. But look, man, happy to see Auburn guys on preseason lists.
Yeah,
I think that's
he's not the only one.
Yeah, I think it's all a good sign when a lot of your guys end up on preseason lists. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. Speaking of a list, watch lists, the Remington Award. You've got that right there for Connor Liu on that watch list. The Bednarik Award, I believe, for the best defensive player, if I'm not mistaken. Eugene Asante's on that preseason list. So there's quite a few Auburn players around that have been getting recognized on preseason lists, which brings me back to why I think it was a travesty last year that DJ James didn't get on any watch list. But whatever, I ain't gonna go back to last season and harp on that kind of stuff again. But let's get into the conversation that we intend for tonight, and that is about Payton Thorne and the trust level with this coaching staff, right? So you and I have been talking pretty frequently about the increased level of trust that this coaching staff has in Payton Thorne, and I think every time we get a new opportunity for people to talk in front of the media, someone amplifies that message again to say, yeah, it's becoming where I don't know that anybody can say this is just lip service, right? Like, I think the reality is that this staff and this team trusts Payton Thorne to a higher degree this year, right? And I mean, am I crazy in thinking that they're not just saying this? Like, nobody's forcing them to say that. They could be like, oh, he's doing well. The trust is there, right?
Yeah. It seems like it's there. The language has changed from last year. It's a lot more positive. And they feel like they fixed some things around that were outside of Payton's control. They think that he has a high understanding of what they're trying to do. Hugh Freeze talked to us one-on-one about the alignment that he believed at the time that Payton felt, and he said that without talking to Payton. Right. And then I sat down with Payton one-on-one, and he was like, man, things are just more aligned. I thought that was interesting, because Hugh Freeze made a point in our one-on-one to say, I have not talked to Payton about this, but I think he feels this way. And then Payton sat down with us and said, hey, man, this is how I feel. So Hugh Freeze and Payton Thorne, their feelings are aligned.
Yeah.
They got the same therapist, apparently. So I like that. I like two guys sit down and maybe did some couples counseling together or something. But, hey, listen, teamwork makes the dream work. So I love it.
All right. So I have a clip from the last press media availability from the players in which Payton Thorne is talking about this. And I want to discuss this clip and the implications that it has on next season. So let's hear Payton Thorne's words in regard to the alignment that you just talked about and how it was not clear last season and how it's manifesting right now during the offseason. Words from Payton Thorne.
Quite a bit more, honestly. Last year was obviously, like I said before, a unique situation. It was weird. There was a lot of things that were out of my control, and that was one of them. But now, with us all being on the same page about what we're doing, and we're still materializing some of that stuff, and we're still working through the specifics of certain things. But from week-to-week basis, I think that, like Coach said, I feel really good with where we're at right now. And I feel like I have a really good understanding of what Coach Freeze is trying to do, Coach Nix is trying to do, and what Coach Austin sees. And so, if we're on the same page and we're seeing things the same, Coach can have confidence in me to be able to change things up if I need to, and because that's what he would do, if he was there. So it's been great. It's been really fun, and it's a part of my game that I didn't get to use last year, like you said, very much at all. And I think that we're going to be able to have that as a weapon this year.
All right, so Payton Thorne there, when asked about kind of the differences between last year and this year and the things that he's felt, has he felt the differences? Those were his words. The first thing that I want to bring up in this was his statement about, we're on the same page. What Coach Freeze thinks and then what Coach Nix thinks and Coach Kent Austin thinks are all the same thing. Again, in context, he's talking about what a difference that is from last year. Let's begin at how crazy it is that the difference is the head coach, offensive coordinator, and quarterback coach this year all think the same thing. Now, mind you, not to dump on the guy, only one of those guys is different. There's only one person in that equation that's different than it was last year. But what are your thoughts about that portion of what he said? It's different because the coach, us offensive coordinator, and quarterback coach are all thinking the same thing.
Yeah, this is kind of like the quiet part that you say out loud, but it's painfully obvious to everyone. So why not say it?
Yeah.
Look, man, he made the change. He made the change at offensive coordinator. He did it for a reason. I always wonder why they hire guys who aren't all the way on the board. Did Phillip Montgomery pretend to be on board, and then all of a sudden he got hired and he was like, nah, let's do it this way? Because that's wild. And obviously not a recipe for success. I mean, and if you do it that way, it's a huge gamble. It's got to work. Clearly it did not. Hugh Freeze cut his cloth in this business as a play caller.
Right.
Not calling plays was something that was new to him. So, yeah, it is. For a guy who cut his cloth as a play caller, it is very strange to not have guys, especially when, his discipline, which is offense, right, is the thing that you're not aligned on. I think it's one thing when it's defense and you're an offensive guy, but it's another thing when it's offense and you are an offensive head coach. So for as much as Auburn struggled offensively, before Harsin, I think that was part of the frustration with a lot of Auburn fans was Gus was an offensive guy and Auburn seemed to struggle a lot offensively. Couldn't find a quarterback. Hugh Freeze is projecting to change all that. So yes, that is crazy, but it should be exciting this year because I'll say this because I've said it a million times. Hugh Freeze is really, really honest in his comments to the media.
Yeah.
So when he says, I feel better about it, I believe him.
Right.
I absolutely believe him. If he says he's nervous or he doesn't know, then I believe that too.
Yeah. He was clear with that last year. He said, it's uncomfortable for me because the language isn't the same. I don't feel like I can jump in and suggest changes because I don't know all of the calls, which I think is still kind of crazy that your quarterback came in and learned this since the summer, and you and Phillip Montgomery have been hashing this out since pre-spring, and you aren't comfortable enough doing. I still think that's a little crazy, but he was honest about his lack of comfort in doing those sorts of things. Mm-hmm. And so now he's been very clear that we are all speaking the same language this year. So what that also says to me is if it goes wrong, then I need to see a lot of it's on me this year from Coach Freeze, which I think he's already proactively said, hey, man, listen, I don't even really want to talk about last year no more. This year is what we're going to focus on, and I am going to step up and make sure that it goes the way that I at least want it to go. And if that goes wrong, that's my fault because this year I'm not allowing what happened last year to be a thing.
Yeah. Look, Hugh Freeze he's made the changes. I think he understands that this year is a put up or shut up kind of year in terms of showing what you've been trying, what you're aiming to do. Doesn't have to be all the way there this year. Nobody expects Auburn to win a national title this year. I don't even think anybody expects Auburn to contend for the playoff this year. You just have to move it forward reasonably. Now, look, if they win 9 games, great. If they win 10 games, even better, right? Because they definitely will be in that playoff conversation with only 2 losses. And likely those 2 losses are going to come to top 10 teams. With what their road schedule looks like. Missouri got a little bit of disrespect in that AP, that first AP poll.
Did they? I haven't even.
They came back. Yeah, it was below 13, I thought. And I was like, ooh, okay. They finished top 10 and they returned their, it was chat. Help me out here. Where was Missouri in that AP poll?
Well, I think I've been a little lower on Missouri than you have been this year, anyway. So I don't know if I feel it's disrespectful, but I'd have to see who's in front of them too to feel like okay, well they definitely should have been hired in this team. So I don't know.
They got Missouri. Oh, this can't be right. Yo,
What do
where
you see?
where is Mizzou on this thing? Oh, 11. They got them 11.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So it's not as bad as I thought. But like they had, I thought they finished the top 10 team last year. They returned the core of their offense. I think that, having Brady Cook and Luther Burden was a big win for them. And Auburn has to go play them on the road in Columbia. Right. So, a loss there, you're not down on Auburn. A loss in Athens, you're not down on Auburn. Kentucky might be a little disappointing. A loss in Tuscaloosa, nobody's going to beat Hugh Freeze up for that this year, I don't think.
I would say nobody, but like, I don't think anybody who's in charge of hiring is firing. But he's gonna definitely take a beating.
Yeah, okay, right. Like the message boards will probably be unkind, but we have an interview up with Cole Kublik. Go follow Cole on everything, guys. Cole is the man. Love Cole Kublik. Listen to him on Jocks there. Mac and Cube, Greg McElroy, also friend of the War Report. He says he thinks that Auburn has a shot to go into Tuscaloosa and get that win this year. So it's going to be interesting. It's all going to hinge on how they move the offense forward. I think that Payton Thorne and this passing game is going to be the piece that determines whether you exceed expectations or not. Now, hear me out on this one. Jarquez Hunter got voted preseason first team All SEC.
Right.
So people recognize that he's one of the best backs in this league. The other thing I talked about with Cole was how the offensive line projects. He's got high hopes there as well, too.
I do, too. Yeah.
So, if your run game is on point and your offensive line is performing, your passing game is the last piece to help keep defenses honest from loading the box on you and daring you to throw the ball. Now, what do we know about Auburn? Well, Payton Thorne has some shiny new toys. He does. And in that first scrimmage, we got another open practice / scrimmage that we're going to watch on Saturday. He showed them off. Malcolm Simmons looks incredible. Perry Thompson looks ready to play now. Cam Coleman, we saw that months ago. He looks ready to play now. And I had someone ask me earlier today, Ike, about the offensive struggles. Do you think the offense is just not there yet? And I sent you the play-by-play from the scrimmage. Well, my response to that was, I think the defense is a little better than people are anticipating. I think that had something to do with the struggles that they had on offense. That pick that Hank Brown threw, trying to get the ball to Cam Coleman, that was a good play by Caleb Harris against a guy who projects to be a starter at wideout for you. Highly anticipated prize. And we know Cam Coleman can get up and win a 50-50 ball.
Right.
So for him to get that, I don't know, man. I just feel like looking at this schedule and looking at what Hugh Freeze is trying to accomplish, it all is, it's this passing game. This scrimmage, let me tell you something. In this scrimmage, people were asking about the running backs, and I was like, don't ask me about the running backs. Because we didn't really see much of Jarquez and Damari. You know why? Those guys don't have anything to prove.
Yeah, and Coach Hugh Freeze was pretty clear. He's like, look, man, I don't want to get guys hurt. And, he's been saying that about Jarquez for weeks. Like, man, I don't know how much I'm going to even let people tackle him. Like, he's like non-contact jersey status on him.
But there's nothing he needs to see there. So there's you have more to lose than you have to gain from that.
And you got a schedule at the beginning that will allow you to ramp into that in the season.
But the passing game was on full display. Man, they let it rip. We saw these quarterbacks have a chance to throw the ball. Walker White threw probably one of the more impressive passes of the day. It didn't get caught.
The one to Dylan Gentry that you're talking about.
Yeah. It was a dot on a rope, 40 yards on a rope, Ike. I was like, come on, Dylan. You're the face of Auburn football now. You got to catch that.
Yeah. And face of Auburn football is crazy.
So I don't know. Like I said, I'm looking at what they're doing offensively, and in that scrimmage, I think we saw a lot of what you would want to see. The offense win some, the defense win some. Right. But Payton Thorne, the only thing, the only little bit of criticism I have for Payton is those throws up the sideline.
Keep him, give your guys
just keep him in bounds and give your guys a chance. I know he's going to go back and look at the tape and be like, that's silly. Right. Yeah. But I know that he can do that.
Yeah.
So, now if you're talking.
What's crazy is, I'm sorry to interrupt. He actually says that he feels as if Cam Coleman might be one of the best jump ball receivers he's ever seen. And he played with Keon Coleman.
Yeah, bunnies is what these guys are just been talking about, his bunnies.
Yeah.
So, look, man, Cam is a great receiver. I think that Keandre Lambert-Smith, if he goes into the season healthy, is going to, project to do some really, really, really good things. But, we'll see where it lands for Payton Thorne.
Yeah.
If he gives these receivers a shot, you'll see Hugh Freeze loosen the reins a little bit, give him more pass attempts, put the ball in his hand. If it doesn't look good against what will be teams you should beat in the first 3 or 4 weeks, he might go 12 personnel and then lean on that run game a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, will Hugh Freeze let Payton Thorne call more of the shots? I think they're going to try to do that in the beginning and see how it goes.
Yeah,
but it is absolutely nuts that he wasn't allowed to do that at all. I mean,
let's dive into that a little bit more here in just a second, because I want to get into the second portion of what he said that I thought was particularly crazy and get your thoughts on this. But before we do that, if you feel like Payton Thorne is the golden boy, if you want to maybe keep up with everything going on with Cam Coleman, all the guys, make sure you tap in with the folks over there at Autograph. Mike G, tell the people about Autograph a little bit, man.
Yeah, look, Autograph is your one-stop source for the best news, ticket scores, and swag. So power your daily sports fandom. Being a fan is hard work, guys. Let Autograph do the heavy lifting. Follow your favorite teams, leagues, and get informed with the best articles, podcasts, and videos all in one place. Each article read, each video watched, and each podcast listened is counted as an act of fandom. As you complete acts of fandom, you earn coins and level up in your team community. You get recognized for your fandom and unlock rewards as you level up and earn coins. Autograph has tickets to all your favorite teams, games, and best of all, you'll never pay a hidden fee when you purchase on the app. When you just have to get there, rock with Autograph. Join the fandom revolution today. Download the Autograph app in your phone's app store and use code Rapport right there at the bottom of the screen. They call it a referral code. So when you guys see it, it's a referral code to let them know that they sent you. And using our code automatically populates all the Auburn content for you. So it takes a step out for you. But yes, definitely Autograph. Also want to give a shout out to show sponsor JOYMODE. Guys, let's call out the obvious. Everyone wants to head into the bedroom with confidence, feeling like a king, the king version of yourself. Well, you can be a king with JOYMODE. Our friends over at JOYMODE have invented a supplement that you can take like your favorite greens packets that gives you the extra dose of confidence and saves you the embarrassment and hassle of a traditional erection pill. When they say embarrassment, are you like popping it in front of your girl? Like, I don't know. You're probably not, right? Yeah. Don't do that, fellas. Don't let us see it. Don't let us see the process. They don't want to see how the pizza is made. They just want pizza. Stirred in 6 to 8 ounces of water, 45 minutes before the boom boom activity, and watch the magic unfold. Not only is this the only supplement you'll need in the bedroom, but it also supports your blood vessels, cardiovascular health, athletic performance, and blood pressure. Even on days where you're not doing the boom boom, you can take the SPB, they call it, to boost nitrous oxide in your body, which not only supports your quality of performance, but also increases blood flow. I'm struggling for the content censors here on this area. So visit usejoymode.com and use code Rapport for 20% off plus free shipping. That's usejoymode.com, 20% off plus free shipping.
Yes, indeed. We appreciate the folks at JOYMODE for supporting what we've got going on at the War Rapport. Let me grab a couple of comments, and then we're going to get into the next portion of this. Shout out to Corey Weber's daughter, who is moving in tomorrow into Auburn, man. Awesome.
All right, before we move on, can I give one more shout out?
Yeah, for sure.
Our friend of the show, Charlie 5, they've started a new thing, and I promised them that I would let you guys know about it. We're growing our community. We appreciate them. But if you're looking for more Auburn engagement, visit thebarnauburn.com. They've created a message board over there. And let me tell you something. This thing, unlike other message boards, might actually be moderated. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys over there. You guys have asked us to start Discords and do all that stuff. You know, we've got some things going on in our lives, so like that's not a reality. But I'm glad that somebody's filling this space. It's something new. A lot of positive conversations, from what I understand, happening over there. Visit www.thebarnauburn.com and sign up. It's $1 for the first month, $9.99 after that. Our friends over at Disrupt Media have started that. If you don't know who that is, that's the Next Round Live guys. So love all the content they put out. We want to continue to support like content creators in our community and support spaces where positive conversation is happening about sports. So www.thebarnauburn.com. When you get in there, start a thread, let them know that the War Report sent you.
Word. Yeah, shout out to Corey's daughter who's starting at Auburn. Mike Yates, again, I apologize. He said he was the one that jumped in on the office hours. It's not your fault, Mike. It's my fault because I was supposed to restrict the live stream to just members. So you were just clicking on the link because you love the War Report, and I appreciate you being like
that green name, bro.
Hey, listen, man, you can jump in whenever you want to, then, bro, because it's all. But yeah, it's completely on me. Let's get into the second portion of this conversation, in which, interestingly, Payton Thorne, I'm not going to play the clip again, but what he said that I found interesting was, basically paraphrasing, when he gets into certain scenarios this year, he's going to be allowed to make changes because they trust him and they know and that is what he would do in that situation, meaning the coach, whether that's Hugh Freeze, Kent Austin, Derek Nix, he would do the same thing in this situation. As opposed to last year, he wasn't allowed to do that, or he didn't have the freedom to do that. Before I give my thoughts, I want to hear your thoughts because I feel like my take is a little crispy on this. So I'm gonna let you speak on it, and then I'm gonna say what I have to say. How do you feel when you hear Payton Thorne say that?
So they talked about alignment, right? They talked about alignment, and they talked about being able to, I think this was a trust. Trust works both ways, by the way.
True.
It's not, and I think this is quietly what Payton Thorne is saying, and I'm completely inferring this. This is just my opinion. It's not coming from any conversation I had, but we talk a lot about the coaches trusting him. I think that him trusting the coaches goes a long way too.
Okay.
Right. So there's more trust coming from the other end that they're doing the right things and they're really in it together. If you ask me, at times last year, I think that Payton, and you guys have heard, a lot of people have asked, Mike, what's with your switch on Payton Thorne? Now, this part was after talking to Payton. I felt like we were a little too hard on him last year.
Okay.
I do. I felt like he was up against some things that it would be hard for any quarterback to overcome. They feel like they fixed these things. And so that trust, to back to your question, I think comes from feeling like they all understand what they're doing. And I think at times, maybe last year, Payton didn't understand what the strategy was.
Right.
Now, is that hard? I don't think that's a hot take. You fired the offensive coordinator. So somebody didn't understand something.
Yeah, I don't think that's crazy to say.
Right. So Payton was one of the most affected by that. And that cascades out into problems for everybody else on offense when the quarterback is not on the same page with the play calling or the strategy in certain situations, or, you practice one thing. Remember, we would hear during the Harsin era about them practicing one thing during the week, and then game day comes and they're running like maybe 30% of what they practiced.
Right.
Wild. So I don't think we're going to see that anymore. Now, part of that, Payton, maybe a lot of it, Hugh Freeze not feeling like they had the tools to do some of the things that he normally does, and Payton feeling like we got to go out there and do this, and Freeze is not confident that that's what they can pull off. Or Phillip Montgomery has another idea, and so if you have three different ideas there, that is a recipe for confusion. They've eliminated that, and so, man, I think the buzzword of this show is trust. It's trust.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Here's my thoughts, man. I just don't. I feel conflicted with this because if it was only like 1 or 2 games and it was going like that, then all right, cool. Put that on Phillip Montgomery, because at some point in time during the season, this is like gross negligence of your job to just say this is absolutely not work. You brought in a guy who had started 2 full seasons in a Power 5 conference to be your starting quarterback, dubbed him as the starter on less understanding of the playbook because he wasn't there from the spring. All the reasons why people said, man, he didn't have enough time to get this under his belt. And at no point during the season did you say, okay, you get this enough for me to loosen the reins and let you make on the field changes as a senior that has had 2 full years of experience. Like, yes, if that's the case, one of two things is true. Actually, a third could potentially be true, but that third one I don't really want to get into too heavily. The first one is fire Phillip Montgomery immediately, which is what you did at the end of that season, because there's no way this offense is so completely complicated that a guy who is a third year as a starter is unable to grasp it at all during the season, unless you have done something criminal in your ability of trying to communicate this to this young man. Right. That's one thing, which we're assuming that's the one because that's where they landed with. The other one is Payton Thorne just isn't capable of understanding the complexity of this offense. So at no point did he demonstrate an ability to get the reins placed in his hands and the freedom to do that. And that's crazy to me because, and again, I think that one's kind of a little like the one thing that everyone has said about Payton Thorne, if nothing else, was he's intelligent. Nobody has ever accused Payton Thorne of not being an intelligent quarterback.
He's a smart guy.
They've accused him of when the lights come on, he might bottle up a little bit. So we're not questioning his intellect or his understanding of offenses. So I'm like, how is this possible? How do you go 13 games into a season and never say, all right, well, we've run this portion of the offense. Let's give you a couple of audibles to get out of bad looks, right? And the third one, and I get it, I'm giving you the caveat and the disclaimer before. What I'm about to say is going to upset some people.
Okay.
A portion of this is on Coach Hugh Freeze. Whether he understood or, wanted to get in and make a portion of this is on him. Bro, you can't go 13 games and see they're not making the right calls at the line of scrimmage and not step in halfway through the season and say, all right, this is not working. It's like at some point in time, you got to step in like, okay, so when we were in this, how come we didn't get out of that call right there? Like I couldn't step in because I don't understand it, but explain to me why Payton Thorne didn't check out of this look. And Coach Montgomery or someone on that offensive staff can't turn to Coach Freeze and say, well, we actually gave him an answer to that. He just never audibled out of it. And then you go and have a conversation with Payton Thorne's like, well, Coach Montgomery said you had an answer to this. Why didn't you audible out of it? Right? That should happen like 3 or 4 games into the season. After the Texas A&M game, when you're watching free rushers step up to the line of scrimmage and nobody checks out of things, the next conversation after that game is, what are we doing in this situation with our senior quarterback so that this doesn't happen again? Or you realize we have told him how to do these things. He needs to be benched. I don't get that, bro. I don't get that. Somebody got to explain that to me.
Yeah, I've long been on the train that some of this is on Hugh Freeze, but he understands that, though. He understands what role he plays in his players' successes and failures. And I think that a good coach takes a lot of that responsibility on his shoulders. You recruited him. You brought him here. You knew what he was, and the system didn't fit. Like I said, Payton Thorne was Payton Thorne last year.
Right.
Below 60%. You knew that when he came in. That's exactly where he was the previous years before he came to Auburn. So you knew that when he came in, and that held true. So all intents and purposes, Payton was exactly who he was before he came here. Now, if you were expecting a better version of him than what you saw in that 11-2 season, that's between you and Payton.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, when you look at the numbers and after you talk to Payton, the difference was because they didn't have alignment, they took pass attempts away from him. I can't tell you in today's SEC with a quarterback that's not running for like a big time rushing quarterback, less than 300 pass attempts is anemic.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy to have.
But that goes back to the trust thing, right?
Yeah,
like
start
we
a
don't
whole season.
we literally do not trust the quarterback and pass catchers to throw the ball more than what we're doing right now.
I think maybe they probably would put more of it on the pass catchers than the quarterback last year, clearly. But you fixed that now. So where do you go from here? I think that it's clear that they're going to give him. If Payton Thorne has aspirations of playing football at the next level, which I'm sure this is a conversation he's had with Hugh Freeze, you've got to put the ball in his hands more this year. You've got to let him show that. And I think personally, Payton has the ability to be able to grow that pass percentage from low 60s to mid 60s. In a perfect world, high 60s. If he's in the high 60s, man, like Auburn's.
Bro.
Auburn,
if he's going to throw the ball 100
to
to 150 times more, and he's going to increase his completion percentage,
like 8 to 9%, Auburn's going to have a really, really good year.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Particularly with this schedule, with 8 home games, and if you can sneak one on the road, 9 wins is on the way. 3,000-yard Payton Thorne means 9 wins is no longer like a best case scenario. That becomes a real reality for you. But what that boils down to, going back to what we're talking about, is the trust. It's the trust. And, kind of coming back to like the audibles, you see this with the better quarterbacks, both at the college and the pro level. Part of what made Peyton Manning good and what Tommy Tuberville used to talk about when we would face off against Eli Manning was these guys know where they're going with the football most of the time before the ball is snapped.
Right.
So when they call that audible, they've already seen the coverages. Their minds have processed how the DBs are playing the receivers, where the linebackers are positioned, and they're saying, this play's no good. I'm calling us out of this, and I know exactly where to go to the football once I do. Hugh Freeze feels like Payton Thorne has achieved that level of processing the game. And with the right pass catchers, he's going to let him do that. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out. One of the things that struck me about the passes that were incomplete to Cam Coleman, he still caught them.
Right.
He still caught those balls because he was being defended as the ball was going out of bounds, and he didn't give up on it. He caught it. Keep it in bounds, and he probably still catches it. So, it's small things with Payton Thorne. I think it's about detail, and it's about just kind of eliminating those kind of like what the hell plays.
Right.
Your 4th, 5th year quarterback, they shouldn't be doing that. I think he has a real shot to do that this year. And, we'll see. I've been seeing some things, all the excitement around recruiting is making people jump the gun a little bit. I've seen some, what if, Payton Thorne makes a Joe Burrow type jump this year. And I'm like, well, like Joe Burrow ended his first campaign at LSU. Like
I was about to say, what's clear is people didn't watch Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow,
he was Heisman Joe Burrow. That's clear to me because Joe Burrow displayed some things in that year before where you was like, oh, this kid could be special.
That game versus UCF, when UCF took kind of what I thought was a cheap shot on him, knocked him out. And he got up, and they dubbed that the hit that started it all, because UCF was rolling, and LSU came back and won that game. Joe Burrow went crazy, and ever since that game, he didn't stop going crazy the rest of his time in college football. But he was good, and people are feeling like, hey, can Payton Thorne make this kind of jump? Well, I don't know that he has. The thing that made Joe Burrow special was he was throwing dots to NFL receivers. It was good on both ends. So he wasn't getting bailed out. Like Jamar Chase and Jefferson, those guys weren't bailing Joe Burrow out.
Right.
He was throwing dots to them.
Joe Burrow was putting it on the money, and they were really good receivers, so they were open.
Yeah, and they were turning them into touchdowns.
Yeah,
right. They were able to do something with it after the catch. So I don't know that Auburn is there quite yet. I said it on Twitter, and LSU fans went crazy on me. I think this receiver room, Ike, has a chance in 2 years to be 2019 LSU good. I think they have that level of talent. Yeah. Will they be? Well, we don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, but I think that they have that level of talent. If you can go out and find them a quarterback that can give them a chance to display that talent, and you call the right plays, sure. what was Joe Brady? They called him the passing game coordinator or whatever.
Right,
they had a lot of things rolling right there. And if you put these receivers 2 years from now in those same conditions, I believe they can be that good.
Right quarterback, right system. Absolutely.
Right.
They've got the talent to achieve it.
What does that mean for this year? Well, if that is your potential, that's even at the start of their careers, that's heads and tails above what Auburn has seen the last 14 years at receiver. Now, I will die on this hill. Darvin Adams and Terrell Zachary are two of the most underrated receivers Auburn has ever had come through the program. Darius Slayton was a really, really good receiver. I think that in a world where we had more confident quarterback play, guys like Nate Craig Myers do more here at Auburn. Eli Stowe was good. Quan Bray played this part. I mean, we've seen some decent athletes come through, but have we seen anything like Cam Coleman? No. Have we seen anything like Perry Thompson? No. I would argue Malcolm Simmons, maybe we've seen something like that, but he looks different out there. Then you got another guy that's kind of like him in Bryce Kane, and these guys are lightning rods for big plays. So the excitement for the season is starting to build. And if Auburn gets out of the gates looking clean in those first two games, no struggle wins versus A&M or New Mexico, beat the crap out of Cal, handle Arkansas, just get the win, first SEC game, get the win,
right,
by 10 points, and then go into Oklahoma. I've been looking at projections for Oklahoma season, and a lot of people feel like the Sooner fans better get ready for a 7 or 8 win season.
Yeah, well, I'm about to say that none of those projections are coming from Sooner fans, because when you talk to them, that's not how they feel.
Well, I'm telling you, outside of Norman, most people are down.
To be fair, a lot of those people who feel like that are SEC. What around the nation would feel like are SEC bias, though. They feel like, okay, they're not ready for what the SEC is going to get. But anyway, yes, to your point, there are people who feel like Oklahoma, I know y'all are used to winning 9 to 10 games a year.
Yeah.
Reset your expectations a little bit.
Yeah. So what this boils down to is you get a little better Payton Thorne. You get a little better receiver play. You get a little better blocking. And you got a little better season.
Yeah.
It's like 2 wins. 2 more wins put you at 8. That hits the over. That pays some money to a lot of people betting on that. Bet the over. And then you get one that nobody expects you to get. They came close in the Iron Bowl.
Right.
Can they get over the hump? Could it be Missouri? Right? Like, I mean, right now people are evenly split, I think, on the Auburn-Oklahoma game. So if they win that one, I'm not going to say that's a game that nobody expects them to win.
Yeah, because it's at home.
Yeah. A lot of people are expecting Auburn to compete well in that game and likely walk away with a win. But, I'm marking Georgia off the list. No suspense there from when we do Boston Toss and Lost It, guys. That's going to be in the loss column for me, at least right now. And then you're left with Kentucky, Alabama, and A&M. A&M should be a contest. You got that game at home. Is it home? It's home.
A&M's home game.
Home, yeah. Right? And then you're looking at it and you're thinking, all right, well, can you hand Kalen DeBoer an L in Tuscaloosa in his first year in the SEC? We'll see what that looks like. So a lot of excitement here. I think a lot of it starts with an improved Payton Thorne. You get a better Payton Thorne here this year. They feel like it is. I'm rolling with it because Hugh Freeze's tone about him has been different.
Yeah,
it has been different. And when I asked my question about it, hey, last year you said he was pressing around this time. This year we don't hear you saying any of that.
Right.
What's changed? So, and some people didn't like that question, but it's a valid question. What's changed about Payton that your tone is so markedly different about him this camp? Tell us what it is. Well, we know now he understands the system at a high level. They feel better about the pass catchers. The alignment has led to more trust between QB and coach. All those are positive things I think that Auburn fans can point to and say, yes, I am excited about the prospects of this season because we have a coaching staff and, you know, a QB who is, you know, they're looking to be a leader on this team. They're on the same page.
Right.
We saw what it could potentially produce in that Iron Bowl. It was close, man. And, you know, Bama fans get all over us, Ike, about the almost wins, the moral victories. But, you know, Hugh Freeze took some heat for saying that he thought that it showed them that Auburn's not far from being able to be back on top. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. I knew his comments would get misconstrued, but he is absolutely right.
They didn't even. So that's not misconstruing comment. They didn't even try to construe them properly. They just went straight to "you suck." Like it wasn't like there was no point being made.
Y'all celebrate almost wins, and
like they're not making points. So whatever for that stuff. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. I have one more question I want to ask you regarding this, Mike. But y'all are watching the Midweek Rapport. Share the content.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. The Opelika Rage Room in Opelika, Alabama. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Call or text 334-777-6688 to set up a session today or check them out online at opelikaRageroom.com. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
Guys, you know the drill. Sign up as a member, $5.99 a month. Our guy Mike there, dude, you can get in on those office hours, man. Just get yourself a green name there in the chat, and you'll be good to go. You don't have to be on the outside looking in. Definitely want to thank show sponsor Manscaped. Visit manscaped.com. Use code REPORT to get 20% off plus free shipping with Manscaped, longtime sponsors of the War Report. Also, you can gift a membership by hitting that gifted membership button. Guys, check us out on podcast, every single podcast platform. We're there with the Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, and Just a Sec. If you're listening to these building rapports and, you know, you like that content, but you haven't got a chance to watch it on YouTube, I encourage you on your way to work, just turn that on podcast. We got that labeled nice so you guys can find it easily. Want to thank show sponsor Vintage 2298 Restaurant and Butcher Shop. Visit them if you're in the Auburn area. The address is in the name there. So Chef Randall Baldwin, longtime supporter of us as well. We appreciate him. And also, we need your help. We need your help, guys. Go to your phone's app store and download the Autograph app. Autograph is your one-stop source for the best news, tickets, scores, and swag. So power your daily fandom. Being a fan is hard work. Let Autograph do the heavy lifting. Follow your favorite teams, leagues, and get informed with the best articles and podcasts and videos in one place. You know, if you're looking for tickets to a game, Autograph has you covered as well. And the best thing about Autograph is that there are no hidden fees when you purchase tickets through the app. So when you just got to get to the game, let Autograph get you there. Join the fandom revolution today. Download the Autograph app in your phone's app store and use code RAPPORT or referral code RAPPORT when you sign up so they know the War Report sent you. That also helps you populate all the Auburn content. Now, you can go in to the Autograph app, Ike, and you can select other teams you follow to get their content as well. So if you're a Patriots fan, I don't know why you would be, but you can mark them and they'll give you Patriots content as well. So you'll see our podcast in there. You'll see the written works of our guy, Zach Blackerby, over at the Auburn Daily over there. Guys, just download the Autograph app. Try this. It costs you nothing. This costs you absolutely nothing. And the rewards that you accrue are just for reading articles and, you know, listening to podcasts that you would listen to anyway. That's kind of what I like about it. Like I'm going to do all the things I normally do, but here they are all in one app.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Tom Brady started this app, by the way, just in case anybody was wondering. This is a Tom Brady thing.
One of the first funders of the app. So shout out to the folks out there in War Report land who've already done that, and we hopefully the rest of y'all will go ahead and do that. Last question I want to ask you in regard to this conversation about trust, Mike G. With all of this renewed trust, with all of this ability to go in and make audibles and changes, how much do you think that means Payton Thorne's leash is this season? What does this amount to when we start playing football games this season for Auburn? Like, how much impact does that have on the success of the offense? And how much impact does that have on the frustration that will happen if the offense isn't doing well under Payton Thorne?
The leash.
Because you trust him, right? He's going to go out there. He's going to do his things. Does that mean he's got more leash because you didn't give him this opportunity last year? Or, man, I'm putting it all in your hands. If you screw this up, I've taken all of the reasons why it didn't work for you last year away. This should work this year. So you're on a short leash. Which of those two directions do you think it goes?
I think that the first few games will tell the story. Certainly, they've got a great opportunity. A&M, Cal, New Mexico. And one of the things that I think was interesting about last year is that you saw it not look good against teams that it should have looked better against.
For sure.
Right. And I think that he's going to be looking to see better execution against those teams. How quickly can you get Payton Thorne on the bench in week 1?
Right.
Because it just looks so polished and good against a team you absolutely should overmatch. And I think Hugh Freeze is going to use that as a gauge to say, hey, we're going to extend this leash or we're going to tighten it. Now, how tight can does that leash get before you move on?
Right.
That's another question I have. I'm not anticipating that they're going to get there this year though. I think Payton Thorne will start and finish the year as the starter.
I'm rooting for that because that means the offense is doing well.
Yeah. I think he plays well enough.
Moved all of the reasons why it shouldn't as far as Payton Thorne is concerned.
Yeah.
So, but my question is, I know it's not the outcome we want. If it doesn't, though, at what point do you say, you know what, man, bro, like I've given you the targets, I've given you the freedom, I've given you the unified vision, and it's still not working. We got to move in a different direction.
I think when you get to Arkansas and they come to the Plains and, that's a game you should win. One of our listeners was saying Arkansas media, they're a little bit more optimistic in their tone since media days about their prospects in that game. But I think you get to Arkansas and that really tells you the story about Payton Thorne and what you're going to have to do the rest of the season. Now, we've asked Hugh Freeze every which way sideways about personnel packages that we might see actually go out there. He started by telling us we might see more 10 and 11, and then we went back to 12, and then we talked to Robert Lewis, and Robert was like, it's mostly going to be 12, which I thought was interesting coming from a slot receiver,
right?
Because, he's not on the field in 12, so that's a nice answer. And you're thinking, all right, by the time you get to Arkansas, you hope to open up your offense at least a little bit. Because it's going to be, I think it'll be difficult. They're going to want to save some stuff for SEC play if they can, not put too much on tape if they don't have to.
Yeah, and you don't want to have Oklahoma have more than one game of tape on anything.
Correct. Yeah, because that's the game that sets the tone for your season truly that you're hoping. You're hoping it plays out that way. And if it does, that means that, you got through Arkansas, hopefully unscathed. But by the time you get to Arkansas, getting out unscathed is going to be about how efficient it looks. Now, one thing I think that can't be lost in this conversation is that I think they'll try to throw the ball more, but they're still going to take what's there and they're going to go with what's working. So there's a possibility that the ground game is just tearing it up, and we don't see a ton of attempts because Jarquez Hunter is running wild.
Well, that's why I keep telling people, stop putting a number on how many passing yards you want Payton Thorne to have in those first couple of games, because he may not get that up. Who's to say he doesn't turn around, hand the ball off to Jarquez Hunter 3 times and he scores 40, 50-yard touchdowns.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Right.
Yeah, if the run game's working those first 3 games, you're going to go with that, and that's going to allow you to save a lot.
Yeah,
I think. People, and you hope maybe that Arkansas and Oklahoma overcommit to the run, and then you get to show off Cam Coleman. How seriously will they take Cam Coleman if you don't put anything on tape before SEC play? Now, if you're Cam, the hell with all that. I want my targets.
Yeah, true.
But if you're just throwing bombs to Cam, like, I don't know, man. I just have my questions about how much you hold back and how much you go. So I have a real good answer for that. I think that game flow will dictate a lot of what that leash is.
Yeah, no, I agree
Right.
100%
Yeah.
that, again, it's not, for me, it's not about statistics, right? Like, I'm not
Right.
asking you to say if he doesn't throw for 400 yards in the first 2 games, is he going to get benched? But you can tell if a quarterback is operating the offense appropriately, checking out of stuff that they're supposed to be, and he understands. Because, again, Coach Hugh said this, right? Like, he wants to give Payton Thorne answers, and Payton Thorne said this himself. The answers that I should give for what the defense gives should be the same answers that the coach would have said if he were the guy in there calling. If he still had the helmet communication on through the entirety of pre-snap, and they were going to step up to the line and audible, this is the audible he would give me in the helmet communication. So I got to that play. Now, whether it worked or not, but they're going to know he had the right answer for the defense in that scenario. He talked about it with the RPO situations last year. He's like, man, you know, there were situations where safety comes screaming downhill, clear as day.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be a throw in that scenario. That's the Hank Brown. Oh man, I saw the safety set his feet,
Yeah.
so I threw it over the like. I know the defense does this. It's automatically this other thing. If Payton Thorne's not doing those things early enough, I don't care if he throws for 400 yards in one game. They're going to know whether he was operating that offense correctly. So I'm hoping it doesn't go in that direction. And it goes in the opposite direction where it's looking really good because he's given him all of these answers to all of these scenarios. Because, again, I don't want to see quarterback shuffle. Like, I want to see the same quarterback who they had confidence in the preseason be the same quarterback who's leading Auburn in the last game of the season successfully, wherever that last game should be. That's my desire.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of Auburn fans' desire this season. Now, what will we see? Freeze went on Feinbaum, right? Recently, you know, and he kind of talked about the excitement around the program right now that stems from recruiting. Now, I think that people should remember this is a coach that believes that he needs 2 more recruiting classes to truly be where he wants to be.
Right.
But still understands that he's got to show progress toward, you know, ultimately what it's going to look like every year. So they took a big step this year in getting guys who will be freshmen, but also they're so good they can come in and contribute in some way, at least immediately, to give them a taste and give fans a taste of what's the store. You just got to win more games than you lose. Auburn has not done that in the last 3 years. And, you know, for Payton, you know, this is a pivotal season for him, I think. Again, if he has aspirations of playing football beyond this year. He's got to go out and he's got to try to get himself in the top third of the SEC in terms of quarterback stats. And, you know, that's going to start with you need to get off to a good start. You need to get off to a good start. Last year, do you remember the argument that fans were making about Jayden Daniels padding his stats against bad teams last year? I think they played Georgia State last year, and he was still in the game late in the third quarter, and people were criticizing that. And, you know, for guys like Payton Thorne, I almost wouldn't mind seeing him, if he's got it rolling, playing late into the third quarter against some of these teams. And this is a little selfish on my part for Payton, but because he has only 1 more year of college football, right? The more tape, to me, the better for him, for his prospects beyond this.
If he's going to be the golden arm this year.
Right. Like, I think the
stats,
more tape, the better. Now, I still want to see whoever's going to be the number 2 get some meaningful time as well. But, you know, does it get a couple more drives in there to get those stats up and make some throws that might impress scouts and NFL teams? I hope that he gets that opportunity. I really do. And from a Auburn standpoint, you need that. You need guys in the draft.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Like, one of the best advertisements you can ever have for your program is the NFL draft. So putting guys in the draft is definitely going to be a goal of Hugh Freeze this year.
Right.
Whoever he can get up there, up that draft board. Think about it. Think about guys like Stetson Bennett, who were on nobody's draft board and suddenly rocketed up there. Jason Campbell did it in 1 year.
Right.
And his last year, he went from probably not getting drafted to the 25th pick in the draft.
Right.
So it can happen. And I know it sounds like a lot of bug and a lot of homerism, to say that about Payton, but there's precedent for it. People are just not used to seeing it here at Auburn.
Right.
Now, and that's what you hope Hugh Freeze changes about the trajectory of how guys leave the program. We're surprising folks a little bit more, with the guys who you never saw on your draft board, but suddenly, if he can you imagine what Hugh Freeze could say to quarterbacks if he gets Payton Thorne into the draft anywhere in any round?
Yeah, he can say I can heal diseases with laying my hands on you.
Yeah, listen, it will be.
But listen, he's on. Let me not go that far. He's on a watch list. Somebody sees something that I don't see.
Yeah, listen, but it's there. I think the potential is there, and you don't have to see it to just say, hey, look, the potential is there. It may be a big jump in some people's minds, but that's why we're having this conversation.
It's a huge jump in my mind.
That's why we're having this conversation. I thought it was a huge jump before spring, and now I'm not so sure that it's that huge of a jump. Is it a big jump from what we saw? Sure. But is it really that big a jump from what his potential has been this whole time? Maybe not. Yeah, I mean,
okay, I could. Okay, all right. So, if the statistics last year mirrored more of what it looked like at Michigan State for Auburn,
right. Yeah, that's
what I'm saying. Jump from there to potentially being on somebody's draft board, not as big a jump. I can agree with that.
But we saw that.
Yeah,
that was the season he actually had. Yeah. So yeah, that's where my optimism about Thorne comes in. Is that he may be a little. I was never in the camp that thought he fell off as far as the statistics suggested last year. I was never in that camp. I was like, look, man, those numbers that point to systemic issues, and the percentages prove that to be right.
Right. So
you take all of what we talked about tonight: better receivers, more trust in the quarterback, the ability to control the offense and dictate, in certain situations, Ike, what you run. And I think that maybe leads to more production and a lot of celebrations on the Plains post game. A lot of toilet paper being used out there at Tumors. That's what I want to see.
I'm rooting for it.
We need a Charmin outage out there at Tumors.
I'm rooting for it. All right, let's get to these comments before we get out of here. We will start here with Auburn Dad, who says, Sharice old Willie told me he's going to lock you up in the trailer and cut off the internet for cheating.
Roll Tide Willie. He's talking about Roll Tide Willie.
Yeah, I don't like that guy at all.
Sharice is welcome here. Look, man.
Yeah, welcome. I wish Sharice would have more than like 3 phrases. That whoever programmed the Sharice bot only programmed it with 3 or 4 phrases.
I know you don't do TikTok, but there's this bot in every comment section on TikTok, and her name is Ashley, and she is everywhere. And the AI has improved, so her bot comments are more relevant now. That's Sharice.
Yeah.
That's Sharice right there.
And listen, I welcome the Bama fans that come, just whoever's programming the bot, just program it with a few more phrases.
Yeah,
because
make it interesting.
Yeah, it's too much of the same thing every single time.
Oh, Ashley being there, it'd be something about Team USA. Is these 2 teams are exciting, and I can't wait to see how they project in the future, on everything. Right? Then she'll say that on a video about toilet paper.
Tim says Sharice is going to be an Auburn fan before the end of the year. I'm calling it now. Whoever programs the bot will be an Auburn fan.
Sharice, going to get yourself a green name, man. Come on.
Let's
do
see.
It for us. Do it for me, Sharice.
Drake says, no, Mike, start struggling against Cal, and it's Hank Brown time. Hugh Freeze knows Auburn can't lose that game to be able to get to 8+ wins.
We'll see. This is the eternal question that I think everybody's going to have is how long is the leash going to be, and when do you pull the plug? I get that people still have this question. I'm not even thinking about that. I don't even think that that's in the realm of possibility. He's going to play well against A&M. He's going to do well against Cal. He's going to have a great game against New Mexico, and then we'll see what he's got versus Arkansas. I don't think you start even questioning Payton Thorne until you play.
Yeah, again, I don't think it is. So struggling against Cal, if it's because of Payton Thorne, I don't know that is a benching thing, because that's going to be your first real test of the season. Mm-hmm. I think that is a reason why you go into that New Mexico game saying we're going to make sure we get Hank more reps in this game, maybe. But I don't know if you get benched unless you just get embarrassed, right? Like if you get embarrassed in that Cal game, then yeah, we got to make some changes, bro. Greg Wheatley jumps in and says, but don't you need to be using the pass game early to get reps? Yes, but I think what we're saying is that you're not going to force the pass game if the run game is working. Just go win the football game, and you should be able to just use you should be able to use your base offense. I don't need to do any special game plan, like scheme stuff. We're just going to use our basic stuff. We're going to go out there. We're going to push this team around, and we're going to go win this football game without having to get too exotic. And maybe that doesn't equate to a blowout, but we get the win and we move on, and people get valuable reps in that. That should be the expectation. There's not a universe where you need to be pulling out trick plays against Alabama A&M or doing some sort of special stuff against New Mexico to win that football game. You should just win it, right? We don't need Georgia State, where you have to go to the backup quarterback and TJ comes in and you need a last-second touchdown in the back of the end zone.
Oh my God, the best worst win of the last 50 years. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe you won. But then it was like, why did it take all that to win?
Right. I'm gonna end on this one because I think this is a semi-interesting question here from Ant. So why did we take a QB that the team he was at didn't want? Someone please answer me that.
I'm not in the they didn't want Payton Thorne camp. There were a lot of terrible things going on in Michigan State. Like, in case you haven't noticed, that program is in the absolute dumpster. A lot of bad decisions were being made over there. They were trending down. The coach was sending sketchy messages. Like, I don't even want to touch on that. It's a very sensitive thing.
In the JOYMODE a little too much.
Yeah. It was all bad, right? Like, he was harassing that lady. Like, in my mind, I'm thinking I'm not judging Payton too harshly from the situation that he came out of. And I think that had a lot to do with why he decided to leave as well. So, maybe it was a mutual parting of ways, but certainly I would not say it was a healthy program that he left.
And here's what I would say. There are, particularly in that second portal window, which Payton Thorne was a part of, very few quarterbacks that anybody would consider a quarterback that was definitely going to be a starter at their previous team. So if Coach Hugh Freeze hadn't decided to go to the portal until that second portal window, you could literally say that about any quarterback that he brought in during the summer, that their team, quote unquote, didn't want that. So, I mean, I don't know how to shape that any differently than that would have been any quarterback that came in during that second portal window. But to answer the question directly, why did Coach Hugh Freeze want to do that? He didn't feel confident in the quarterbacks that he had at the time were going to be able to execute the system.
Right.
Now, ultimately, I don't know that, knowing what we know now about said system, I don't know that any quarterback would have been successful last year in that.
It would have been hard. It would have been difficult. You would have been doing the heavy lifting for sure. It would have been a quarterback out there making the system look better than it actually was. Right. And I think that would have been a bad thing for Auburn, because success masks a lot of things, right? And you don't want to win in spite of misalignment and all the things they said they had last year, just because you have a good quarterback that can go out there and cover all those things.
Right.
Because it's going to show up eventually. Eventually, you're not going to have a quarterback who can cover you in those ways. And you do a disservice to these kids when you stick with a system that they're having to save rather than it saving them.
Yeah.
That's the latter is the way it should go, right? The system should save the kids. The kids should not have to save the system.
Yeah. All right. That's it, man. We're going to get out of here. Mike G, one more time, tell the people about these great green names out here.
Yeah, lots of announcements for you guys here at the end. Look, join the green name gang. Sharice, you're here every live stream. Might as well. I'm just saying. Join
Can
the green
bots
name gang. Yeah.
Join?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's a algorithm for that.
Yeah.
But look, we appreciate you guys. The season is coming. We need your support. Please sign up. These are like micro sponsorships of our channel. So we got the big sponsors, but we appreciate our micro sponsors as well. And thanks to folks over at Manscaped. Visit manscaped.com. Use code RAPPORT to get 20% off plus free shipping. Also want to thanks show sponsor JOYMODE. JOYMODE.com. Use joymode.com and use code RAPPORT for 20% off plus free shipping is there as well. Lots of people giving away free shipping these days. I love it. Also, guys, do us a favor. You can help us out. This is the one thing you can do that's free. Go to your phone's app store and download the Autograph app. Use referral code RAPPORT. And when you do, it will populate with all your favorite Auburn content, whether it's articles or podcasts, and maybe even you discover some content that you didn't know existed, but you like. It's all out there in one app. You can earn rewards. You can use those rewards for tickets. Maybe you read enough articles that you earn tickets to an Auburn game this year. We're going to be giving away tickets to every game, but Autograph has you guys covered. We appreciate you guys. I posted this in the community. So if you're on YouTube, you can go to the community tab, and this information is there as well with some more information. But please help us out and go download that. We would love to have a few hundred of y'all by the end of the month signed up. It doesn't cost you anything. So you can support us by supporting our sponsors. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank our title sponsor, the Opelika Rage Room and the Birmingham Rage Room. Visit the Opelika Rage Room at 1510 2nd Ave in Opelika, Alabama. I was just there for the ribbon cutting for the Opelika Rage Room, where the Opelika City Council came in, Ike. And they celebrated the opening of that place. And then in Birmingham, you can do this if you guys want to get some rage out. They're adding axe throwing up in Birmingham. Axe throwing. I've seen epic videos on TikTok of epic axe throws. And if you want to make a axe throw TikTok, head to the Birmingham Rage Room at 2616 7th Avenue South in downtown Birmingham, Alabama. They've got you covered down there.
Yes, indeed. Before y'all get out of here, share this content with somebody so they can join the conversation in the comments afterwards. Make sure you give a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm looking at you, Sharice. Tell your bot programmer you need to have a subscription as well. Join us on social media. We are at the War Rapport on Twitter and Instagram, TW Rapport on TikTok.
Yeah.
We'll be back at you guys with more great content later on this week. But until then, and as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Yeah.